Hi Flosstube, my name is Nitya and you are here at my Flosstube channel, Daybreak Stitchery. It's so nice to have a chance to catch up with you again. It's the end of August and I usually do just kind of a check-in video to show you what I've been working on with cross stitch. I have a couple of things that are crochet today too. So if you are a fellow cross stitcher, if you're one of my Stitchy friends who I've been connecting with, it's going to be so fun to catch up with you. I've been actually looking forward to this all week, even though I am so super tired from school. But today was a good day. I had spent some time with family, and so I got to like have a little space from school, and then tomorrow I'll be working. So this is an unusual film time for me. It's late, it's Saturday night, and I would usually be like on the couch almost falling asleep, but I made some tea, I have plenty of water, and I have like tons and tons to show you as usual. So I think we're just going to get right into it. Thanks for being here and for watching and listening and connecting as usual. So I'm actually going to start. This is super exciting. I have my very first Stitchy kindness to show you, and you're gonna hear a lot of plastic today, everybody. I'm like barely cobbling this thing together here. I don't have my usual everything pulled out. So I received the sweetest item from Denise at Black Ribbon Stitch Studio. We all know Denise. We know and love Denise. And she sent me this. I haven't shown you yet, but it's from Pole Stitches Designs, and it's a fabric. And do you see what it's called? It's called Daybreak, like my Flosstube channel. And so she had seen the name of it and she sent it to me, and I just thought it was the sweetest thing ever. And check this out. Are you seeing this? I mean, it kind of looks like Daybreak, doesn't it? Like the blues and purples. And I just love it. So thank you, Denise. This is just the nicest thing. And I just can't wait. Now it's like fabric and thread, like sharing. Oh, and Denise had sent a couple skeins of like beautiful red and pink DMC too. But I feel like even in addition to like the actual thing, I love, like, one of the things I love doing is just thinking about what projects could possibly go on this and like what colors look good, and doing like good old floss toss, like everyone talks about, kind of laying flosses out on this. So it's like given me the gift of creativity too, and just like possibility, thinking about all the possibilities. So Denise, thank you so much. And I can't wait to find something super special to stitch on this. How cool. It's called Daybreak, right? I love that. There's actually a really cool pattern on Etsy. I want to say that the designer is called like Lumi Lua Designs, I think. And they do really cool patterns. There's like a few of them that are the same. I'm going to try to put pictures in the video today if I can stay up and do it, but you might just have to rely on my descriptions and my links I take tons of notes and put links in the description, so you can always look stuff up there. But Lumi, I want to say it's Lumi Lua on Etsy, and they do a beautiful set of designs like sunrises and sunsets where there will be a tiny house in the corner, and then you'll see like the half sun next to it, and then there are like these rays with beautiful patterns going all the way around it. And I thought it would be fun to stitch something like that. So I'm still thinking. I love that it looks like the sky, so it'd be fun to play with that. But who knows? I sometimes I just throw things together, and I don't know what's going to happen with this, but it's just exciting to think about it. So that I'm going to tell you again, it's Pole Stitches Designs. They might have been on Etsy. Denise told me, and I can't remember where, if she actually, I think she did say maybe that she found it on Etsy. I'm not 100% sure though. So that was fun. I'd like to, it makes me want to like send stuff, kind of pay it the other way, send stuff out to people too. So, couple of you who I interact with regularly here and on Instagram, you might be hearing from me to try to find your mailing address to see if I can send you something too. Okay. I do have a couple of finishes I can show you. Nothing fully finished this month. Yeah, but I can show you what I have worked on. I have what I've finished. This is kind of an unexpected one. Look at this cute thing. And some of you have been seeing this floating around, I think, on Instagram. So the designer is called Nonstop. It looks like Nonstop Non. I think it's Nonstop No, like a French no, because it's a Japanese designer of cross stitch patterns. Oh, actually, well, I have something to pull and show you in a minute if I think of it. Um, it's Noriko So is their name, and they go by Nonstop No on Instagram. And a lot of Japanese. So I found a few videos ago, I was telling you about how I started following the hashtag for cross stitch and katakana in Japanese. And then like there's just an overwhelming number of cross stitchers from Japan doing all kinds of amazing stuff. So I find a lot of these people and cross stitchers, designers, like real cool finishes, all kinds of stuff. And where was I going with this? Oh, so that's how I found Nonstop No Noriko. So, and I also noticed that a lot of usernames from Japan have like French words incorporated, which is kind of interesting. There must be like a fascination with French language there, you know? So, Noriko So is a designer and has their own shop where they sell really cute little patterns. And the thing I was going to show you, I don't have it here. I didn't pull it and I don't have it here. They did a pattern in one of my Stitch Idées magazines. I have a couple of issues of Stitch Idées, which is a Japanese cross-stitch and embroidery magazine, and they have a little pattern in there. But anyway, long story short, during the Olympics, they came up with actually what it was first, it was 4 image files, not cross-stitch patterns, but image files, where they had taken this like Olympic kind of person, Olympic logo person, and turned them into crafty Olympics events. So like this one's for embroidery, there's one for sewing, there's a crochet, and there's a knitting. And they were image files, and what Noriko So was encouraging people to do was to, you know, have these kind of stitching marathons while watching the Olympics, and then to tag their progress pic, but also tag one of their photos. So like if you were sewing or quilting or something, you'd tag your quilting project and then put that image file in there. Well, then they took 2 of those images and turned them into cross stitch patterns that are free. They're freebies on their website. So I'll share their Instagram page below, and then you can go to their link tree, and that takes you to their website where you can download the freebies. So the ones that were turned into the freebies were the embroidery, and then I think it was the knitting one. I was kind of hoping they would turn all 4 of them into patterns, and maybe that will still happen. I'm just not sure. So I did this little one. This was a SAF, a start and a finish, just in one day because it's super, super quick. The width of this is only like 40 stitches or something. I mean, it's really, really small. And this fabric is an Access Commodities. So I want to say it's like a 37 or 38 count. I don't remember 100%. And I think it's either corn tassel or Russian tea because it's a super pale. It does have like yellow tones in it, but I'm just not sure. I grabbed, it's a scrap. It didn't have a label on it, so it was with my scraps, and I don't remember all the details about it. I'm pretty sure it was that. And the thread is this beautiful, it's Mediterranean blue. Look at that variegation. It's by Threadworks, and it's Threadworks, let me tell you, 11383 is the code, and it's called Mediterranean blue. Threadworks is kind of funny because I love their threads, but they don't put they have names, the threads have names, but they don't put the names on the tags. So when you buy Threadworks a color, it's going to have either a 4 or 5 digit like code on it. So this one is 11383, but if you search for it online, it's going to be called Mediterranean blue. And the thread actually came in July, I think it was, just for 1 month. I tried out the 3 Owl Threads, what is it called? Nest Egg. And that's where you subscribe. It's like it's kind of like a thread of the month, but what they're trying to do is they're trying to get you like the entire inventory eventually of whatever brand of thread you get. So I chose Threadworks. I like their 20 yard. It comes in a 20-yard skein, which is awesome because you can do tons of smalls, but also like a 20-yard skein is basically enough to do like a small ink circles pattern, for example. So I like that size. But they also you can sign up for Nest Egg for like Classic Colorworks is there, Gentle Art is there. Other brands are there too. And what you do is like you sign up, it's month by month, and then wherever they are, like in the cross section of the inventory, like I signed up in July, so they sent me whatever the thread, like the sequence of threads from the inventory that was, kind of set aside for July. And I only did it for 1 month just for like budgetary reasons. I didn't want to it, it all adds up. I'm always getting stuff and it all adds up. So I decided to discontinue it. But for Threadworks, I think it's the best deal out there. Like per skein, if you divide it out, it came out to cheaper than if you had gotten the same 10 skeins, same colors at like 1-2-3 Stitch or somewhere else. It does end up being a better deal. So I would, if I had a surplus at some point of funds, I would definitely kick that back up again. So there were 10 colors that came. I don't have them all here. This one came with it. Oh, you could check out Matt, MBC Stitcher. Matt gets the same one, and he when he does his haul, shows what's in his haul. If he's received his monthly shipment, he will usually show what colors he's received there. So that's a good place to go see if you're curious about it. At least for the nest egg for the Threadworks, Matt's a good person to check out. It was really beautiful colors, and like I think because it's numeric, I'm pretty sure it's numeric. Like they send you a numeric, like 10 that are in a row in the inventory numerically. So it was kind of a nice mix. Like there was a deep, deep orange. There was this blue. There was a super bright green, which when my nephews came over, I have one nephew who likes to sew. He's hasn't sewn in a while, he said, but he loves green, and he saw it. Like I had a bag of random flosses and those Threadworks were in there, and like right away his eyes went to it. So I was just like, just take that. Maybe you'll think of something fun to sew. So the green went to him. And then there were like different variegated ones too with multiple colors. So it was just a nice set. There was one actually that I really needed because it's in a owl forest pattern that I'm stitching on anyway. So it coincidentally happened to be one of those colors. So now I have an extra of that I don't need to get. So yeah, that was a nice little thing. I had first heard about the 3 owl threads nest egg from Michelle G during one of her Wednesday stitch and chats, that it just came up, and that was the first time I'd heard of it. And then if you look at 3 owl threads on Facebook, I'll try to link their page below. What I did is I just messaged them on Facebook, and there's a Google form you fill out to sign up for it. And then they just ask that if you decide to discontinue it like I did, that you email them and let them know rather than just letting your invoices go unpaid, because, that helps them handle the finances of it too. So anyway, back to Noriko. So I downloaded the other freebie as well for knitting. I think it was for knitting. And so my plan was to just do them side by side, like in a row. And then I'm kind of leaving room for if they release the other 2 patterns as well. So this was really fun. There was a hashtag that went with it. Deshikoto o aitsuru pictogramma. I looked it up on Google, and Steve helped me pronounce it a little bit too. But it's this hashtag here, which I've copied, and if you look at my Instagram, well, maybe I'll copy this and put it down in the description below too, in case you want to copy and use these characters in this hashtag. You can copy it from the way that the easiest way that I found for me when I'm using my phone, Instagram on my phone, I'm not able to copy text from other people's posts. So if I want to copy a hashtag, and I don't know how to type Japanese characters on my keyboard, so I will open up Instagram on a computer, and then you're able to like highlight and copy hashtags that way. So when there's special characters involved, I'll do that. Then I'll email it to myself, the hashtag, and then I'll put it on my notepad on my phone, which is where I usually post Instagram. So then I'll be able to copy it from my little notepad app. So a little cumbersome, but it does the job. Yeah, so that's the hashtag for it. I'll paste it in the description below. But go check out Nonstop No on Instagram. I'll link it below. They've got some really fun stuff that they do. And this was just like the tip of the iceberg with some of the fun patterns they have on there. Okay, I have one more finish, and that was one that I started in July. And it was this Bon Hiver, which is a nod to the TV show Northern Exposure, which is one of my all-time favorite TV shows. And Bon Hiver it's a fictional phrase, but it's in French and it means good winter. And it's what the townspeople on that show used to wish each other on the first day of snow, on the first snowfall. And this pattern, I just love it. So these stars, it's a free pattern from DMC. So DMC has tons and tons of free patterns. And the only kind of odd quirk is that when you download a free pattern from DMC, you have to put in your email address, which is fine. It signs you up for the newsletter, and it's just your email. You don't have to provide anything else. But then each time, like let's say you're trying to download like several different, you're poking around on the website and you want to download different patterns. Each time you download a pattern, it has you re-enter your email address. And it doesn't sign you up for multiple newsletters. It's just, I think it's just a tech quirk. Maybe they just didn't fix it. I don't know. You don't sign up for an account. So I think it just has to ask you every time so that they can email it to you, or I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure why I'm trying to justify it, but that's what it is. So that's what these stars are from. The Bon Hiver, the calligraphy on that is from Lifted Spirit on Etsy. It's just called Calligraphy Alphabet. I'll link it below. And that was fun. That was fun to stitch. It was a little tricky trying to figure out how to connect the letters, because on the pattern, they're just individual letters. They're separate, right? So I had to be a little bit thoughtful about how I was going to make them join. So there are some stitches I had to add along the way just to make them connect. And that also means like it's not super centered, but it's close enough for me. I can live with it. I really like this one. This was when I was attempting to use my monthly color and cotton threads. I was trying to use them up every month just to create something small that I could finish like in a month or two. And I have a few different little projects like that actually I was able to pull off this spring and this summer. And now I'm just like, now that school's back in session, I work all the time. So I don't have time. I don't have time to do it. So now the thread club threads are accumulating and I'm doing nothing with them, but it's okay. They'll just end up in my stash. But when I saw these colors, they must have come in either June or July. They just spoke winter to me. They looked kind of like a primitive winter. So then I thought of Bon Hiver, and I love that show so much. And so this is kind of a nice tribute. So the threads are color and cotton. Oh, and I got to show you my favorite color. Actually, there were a couple of really good, nice colors that came out of this. The outside of the star, I don't know if you're seeing the variegation in that green. It is so, so beautiful. It's kind of like a pea green, and then it goes into like a pastel mint green. This is so unexpectedly beautiful. And I picked up more of it because I want to do a monochromatic pattern on a fabric that's darker than this. This is Dark Umber by Color and Cotton, which is a fantastic color. But I want to pick one even darker and do something monochromatic with that. It's called Mesquite, and it's still available on their website. If you like greens, I would never what I like about the Thread Club is I would never pick these colors out. Like, look at that pale blue in the Bon Hiver. It's actually really beautiful, but I would never naturally pick that color out. So it's just kind of fun that those colors show up. It sort of gets your creative juices going, to see what you could do with it. So Bon Hiver. This is 36 count Dark Umber, and I did 2/2 on it. I still have a little bit of all those colors left, so I could do some kind of fun something or other with the leftover. I was thinking maybe, speaking of Northern Exposure, actually, I pulled out a thing to show you today. I was cleaning down here a little bit, and I found my Northern Exposure sweatshirt because I went to way back. This was probably 2001, like right after college when I was working. I was a computer programmer for a couple of years before I started teaching. And we had a project out in Seattle, and I did a lot of travel when I was out there because we were there for like 4 or 5 months. And so I got to visit Roslyn, Washington, which is the actual town in the Cascade Mountains in Washington, where the fictional town of Northern Sicily, Alaska is the fictional town of that show. It's set in that town. So like you can go, if you're a show nerd like me, you can go visit it. And some of the build, like they have a big mural of a moose that is in the opening credits. That's there. And like the the building that served as a radio station, they still have it kind of set up along the window like radio station. So it's just kind of cool. You can see they don't really have, when I was there in 2001 or 2002, whenever it was, it's not like they didn't cater to tourists besides like that one sweatshirt is all they sold as like a souvenir. But it was fun to walk around and see it and just kind of imagine it and picture it, relive it a little bit. So that was fun. Okay, so that was Boneyville. Oh, I was thinking, what do you think about this actually? I have no plans yet on how to finish this. I was thinking it would be fun to try hand sewing a pillow. Because Catherine, Neat and Knot, has been talking about how wonderful it is to hand sew, how it's kind of like peaceful at like the repetitive motions of hand sewing. So I've actually been watching some videos on YouTube about like different types of stitches you can do with hand sewing. So, and I've never tried a pillow. I don't really have a use for pillows just kind of hanging around the house, but I thought maybe this would actually make a cute kind of long pillow. Have any of you ever tried hand sewing a pillow? I'd like to know, do you have like a tutorial you use that you prefer, or like a technique or a type of stitch that you use? I'm not 100% sure I want to do it yet because I would hate to like ruin the stitching or like pull the linen with my stitches. I feel like I need to check it out a little bit first before I do it. But anyway, that's just one idea I'm kind of toying around with. Okay, those were my finishes. Maybe let's talk about some whips, some works in progress, because I did work on some things. I'm just trying to figure out where to put my northern exposure. I'll put it right there for right now. I'm checking my notes to make sure I didn't forget anything. Yeah, let me show you some works in progress, some whips. I have one quick crochet thing I'm going to show you real quick. I've been working on this cowl. Aren't these colors so pretty? I've been, on the days when I come home from school, I usually come home from school, hang with Steve for a little bit and just kind of catch up on the day. But then I put in probably another hour or two of work in the evenings. It just has to be done. Like there's no possible way for a teacher to teach all the classes they do during the day and also plan and also do everything. Look, all the side stuff. Like my seniors are starting to ask me for recommendations, things like that. Like tomorrow, that's why I'm doing this Flosstube tonight. Like I'm going to be working tomorrow. It's just, you can't avoid it. You know, if you are a teacher or you know a teacher, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So some days I'm just so tired by the time like the evening comes around, and then I go to bed at like 9. So, sometimes it's just like crochet just feels like the right thing to do. That's like the only place I can get my mind going for crafting. My eyes are too tired to stitch sometimes. So this yarn is called Rosewood, and it's by Treehouse Knits, which is one of my favorite yarn dyers. I have a couple that I really like, but this is one I kind of have been to over and over again. And it looks like knitting because it's got V's, but it's actually crochet. It's Tunisian crochet. You use a hook to do it. So I love how it's turning out. The colors are really pretty. I'm doing it in one piece and then I'm going to sew it together. So that's all I'm going to say about that because I know most of you are here for cross stitch. So I have one other, another cowl I started. So I'll show you that when we talk about new starts, but that's all I have going on with crochet and knitting. I don't have much. I'm doing more cross stitch now. So I don't have enough to like save up for a separate video, so I'll just throw them in here. Okay. Works in progress. So I'm going to show you one I picked up after some time. It's been a while since I've worked on. This is Ink Circles Turkish Delight. And here's what that pattern looks like. And it is so, so pretty. I just love it so much. The picture looks like it's all blues, but the called for colors it's like 2 Belle Soie colors. One's blue and one's actually purpley. So I didn't use those colors. I used taking a page from Victoria and Catherine, trying to write out all my information. I don't have it written down for all my projects, but Ink Circles Turkish Delight. It's let me show it to you and then I'll hold this back up. So here's what it's looking like. and I'm loving it as usual. It's an ink circles pattern, so of course I'm going to love it. And I picked these colors because I thought I remembered seeing like tile work somewhere in some museum, maybe here in the Art Institute of Chicago, where they used a lot of like the tile work was either Turkish or, now that I think about it, it might have been like Persian, but it used a lot of blues and turquoise colors. So that's kind of what I was thinking. And I think I'm right because I've been researching Turkish tile work actually a little bit, and there are a lot of blues and teals in Turkish tile work. So these colors are somewhat accurate. There would actually be there's a style of Turkish tile called Iznik tiles, and that's super interesting because they use blue and turquoise, but also pops of red for like floral motifs and stuff. It's usually nature motifs, and it originates, the colors, actually the inspiration is porcelain from China. So that's where the tones come from. So I am using the bright blue, which is PR. It's my leftover PR075, which I used to stitch Blue Velvet. If you've been watching some of my older videos, you'll see that ink circles pattern. It was a new release at the last Needlework Expo, and it was called Blue Velvet, and I had stitched it and finished it this summer, and it was in that PR075, that bright blue. And the teal is a limited edition teal from Color and Cotton, which I'd gotten a few skeins of, and now I just kind of throw it in a whole bunch of stuff. So this is one of the places where I've been throwing it in. And this pattern has some really, this is a challenging pattern, I would say. Like you really have to pay attention to where the stitches are going. And I've made mistakes. I've had to do a decent amount of frogging on this. Not like entire sections, but I usually catch it, when I'm like, let's say between 10 to 20 stitches in. So it's not terrible, but it is enough. It happens a lot. And yeah, you just have to follow it. You have to follow it closely and pay attention. Part of it too, I have the paper I have the paper pattern for this, and I've been trying to use Pattern Keeper a lot, and I haven't been successful. I have not been successful in uploading paper patterns to Pattern Keeper. You're supposed to be able to do that. I suspect it's the quality of my phone. When I take pictures with my phone camera, it's a really cheap phone. So I think the quality of the photo that you upload to Pattern Keeper matters when you're trying to get those photos rendered into grids on the app. So I just use the paper pattern, and sometimes I'll make photocopies of the paper pattern and then highlight as I go along. And somehow on this, I didn't do that. So I don't know. I'm just winging it, and it's going okay, but I do make mistakes on it. This pattern, well, I'll get to that in a second. Let me hold up the info. So the fabric is by Fiberlicious, Yummy Fibers, and it's called Rustic Fall. Beautiful. It's an 18 count. It's so pretty. It's basically like a clay brown, like a terracotta color. I would definitely use this color again. I think these color, like it's sort of an earthy color, and the bright tones really pop nicely on it. That one and the dark umber Color and Cotton fabric that I just showed with my Bon Hiver, I think those colors are so beautiful because, we always go to like beige or tan, like kind of off-white to tan colors when we think of neutrals. But these are really beautiful neutrals too. Like, think of how beautiful both DMC 310 and like white would look on this. Like, it would show off light colors and dark colors equally well. So I've been trying to think more of like the brownish reds kind of categories, because I think they would make a really nice neutral for lots of different projects. So that's Rustic Fall, Color and Cotton. There's the Silks for You, PR075. The size of this is not terribly big. It's 195 by 139. So the short side is pretty short. It's a little bit longer. Ink circles patterns are usually like square. There are a lot of square patterns, so it's unusual to see a rectangle. I'm enjoying this one a lot. I'm using 2 strands over 2 strands over 1 on 18 count. So that was one work in progress. Another work in progress is this fantastic It's the Tokapu Sal by Peruvian Flare. I don't have a photo of this, so I'm going to see if I can put one in the video afterwards. But here's where I'm at so far. Basically, it's a pattern with 9 squares. So you see the top square here. There's one on either side, and then there's another row of 3 squares, and there'll be a bottom row of 3 squares. And the fantastic Ana Aguayo who designs these things. So this is designed off of an old pre-Columbian textile. And so the motifs are they're kind of interesting geometric motifs. And she offers several different color schemes, like suggested color schemes, where really you could do whatever colors you want. But I picked one of her suggestions, which was basically, it was a pattern with red, brown, white, and black. And I just chose my own. I thought it would be a good chance to play with some unusual tones of those 4 colors. So let me show you closer up. So the red is Ruby Slipper by the Gentle Art. It has like if you look down here at the bottom, right here, you're going to see a little bit of variegation in it. It's got like bright reds and then dull reds in it. The brown, like this beigey brown up here, is Burlap, also by Gentle Art. The white is called Subtle Elegance, and it's by Valdani. It's a cotton thread by Valdani, and it alternates between like a really light peach and a white, actually. Are you seeing a little bit of it? Like in this bottom square? No, the opposite bottom square, maybe you're seeing a little bit. The black is Black Knight, also by Valdani. It's also a cotton thread, and it's sort of like a charcoal gray to black. And I'm sure you're seeing that if you look at the top there, and even on the side, you're seeing that variegation. Beautiful. This is a mystery linen. I don't have a name for it. It came in a pack. Here, I got my card. Victoria and Catherine from Neat and Not by the Sea, they have their info written out on cards, and so I'm trying to like take a page from their book and do that. I think it's a great idea. What I want to do eventually on the back, if I can get myself organized, is try to write down like the dates, all the dates that I stitched on it, and then maybe just keep like a box of these. So it's kind of like a record of what I stitched and when I stitched on it. So the pattern is by Peruvian Flare. It's called Tokapu. It was a stitch along. I think the stitch along has come and gone, but you can still tag it. It's a Tokapu Sal. Super tiny pattern, 95 by 95. So it fits on this tiny, this is a 9 by 13 fabric piece, and it fits just fine on there. It's going to be, there's going to be a lot of space left at the bottom because I started it too close to the top as usual. And then the threads I'm using our Gentle Art and Valdani. So the fabric came in a pack of like 9 small fabrics like that, 9 by 13 fabrics. And the theme of that pack was autumn related. And so this blue was in that. So the individual fabrics weren't named. It was just the pack that was named. But I had picked that up on XJU Design on Etsy. And all these threads are really nice to work with. The Valdani thread, I mean, yeah, everything is really nice. I'm enjoying it. I like the Gentle Art. Probably that Ruby Slipper is my favorite. It's really pretty. Let me show you again and see if we can catch it. Just like this pretty variegation. See how it's kind of, yeah, there you can see how it's kind of pale, like a pinky red and then a brighter red. It's really nice. This is fun. This is a really fun stitch. And I like how, like this is 28 count. Oh, I forgot to put that on my card. It's 28 count. So I'm stitching with 3 strands. That's what I use over 2 on 28 count. But it's getting this nice, thick kind of tapestry feel, which I really, really like when I stitch. So that's been a really fun, like very satisfying project to stitch on. Okay, so the next 2 projects are also works in progress. And I pulled them out because this month I had a long time ago signed up for an event that happened this month, which was the Black Needle Society, the Autumn and Stars Hollow virtual retreat and box. And I know no one's going to agree with me, but for me, the boxes, I'm not super crazy about the boxes because in terms of like stitchy knickknacks, I really only like fabric and thread pretty much. So, but I signed up for the box because I really wanted to join in on the virtual retreat because it would have been my first virtual retreat. Well, and then we had to sign up like ages ago, right? Well, that weekend, not only was it the first weekend that school started, which I had known about, and that would have been fine. I could have balanced that out. It also happened to be the weekend that my dad finally got scheduled for his follow-up surgery, his total knee replacement surgery. And he'd been waiting since like he had his terrible like infections and stuff in the spring. Basically, he'd been waiting like all these 4 months to get his new knee. So we had to schedule it. That's when his doctor gave him the okay, so we got it scheduled. So I missed the retreat. Basically, I attended. It ran from a Wednesday through a Sunday afternoon, and I attended. I didn't even join any of the virtual. They had chat rooms where you could meet people, and I was just in such a like we had been at the hospital all day Saturday, and I was so tired from school starting. Like I wasn't in a mood to socialize with people by the time it all rolled around. But I did join in on a couple of the challenges on Sunday morning just so I could experience it at least. And so the next two projects it was great. I pulled them out because they went along with two of the stitching events, which were themed. So like a whole set of events there where they would assign a theme to like an hour, and you had to try to find something to stitch related to that theme in that hour. You tried to count up how many stitches you did, and then you could enter that for prizes and things like that. So one of I wanted to show you a cute thing I did. I actually like way before when the schedule came out for the conference, like before I knew about my dad's surgery, I had actually gone through the entire schedule, all the events, and I'd written each one down on a little note card along with like the theme, because they had said like from this hour to this hour find something with this theme. And then I was going through my whole stash and like writing on the back a potential pattern I could stitch during that hour. So I love the planning of it, and I was so super prepared, and it just didn't. As Lorelai said during her drunk speech at Lane's wedding, it just wasn't in the cards in the end. I did one of the stash dives too. So I have my card with like all the stash dives were kind of fun, but they were crazy. You'd have to lock yourself in a room where you have most of your craft stuff. And then they would like right at the beginning of the stash dive, they would list a list of keywords. So I wrote them down, and you'd have to try to like go through all your patterns and see how many of them you could find. So that was like crazy, but also kind of fun. Like I looked at patterns I hadn't looked at in a long time. So that was fun too. Okay, so let me actually show you something I stitched. So I pulled this one out. This was another project that I had wanted to start. I can't remember if I've shown you any of this before. I was doing a tribute to the Women's Tour de France, and also to Louise Roussel, who is a French woman who just writes and talks and does cycling for like women's empowerment in France. And I'm stitching a quote by Louise Roussel. And then this bike pattern is a freebie by Brigitte Dado, she has a lot of free patterns. I'll link her blog below. And so the theme for the retreat, it was French, I think. I think the theme of that particular hour was French on Sunday morning, when, whichever hour I joined in. So since this quote was going to be in French, I pulled this one out. So it's awesome. I actually got some things done on this. One cool thing that came out of it is, because you had to count how many stitches you completed in the hour in order to submit that for the competition, like the contest. I finally know how many stitches I can stitch in an hour, and it's 200 basically. I did in one challenge, I stitched like 201, and then in another one I stitched like 210. So basically 200 stitches an hour. That's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to know that. If you're trying to figure out like if later on, if I want to stitch a gift to somebody or something, and you know how many stitches it is, you can kind of figure out, I could do that in like 2 evenings, or maybe it'll take me 10 evenings, or however, it's handy to know. So these were more of the threads from the Color and Cotton Club of the Month. And that month in that packet, the colors, I think it was probably maybe intended for patriotic stitching for July 4th, but I saw them and I thought France right away. It looked like kind of a vintage France kind of field. And then the tour came around, and then I was reading about the women's tour, and it all just kind of came together. So the quote is eventually going to say, pour que chaque femme puisse découvrir combien le vélo change la vie. May every woman discover how life-changing cycling can be. And I don't remember what these colors were called. This red, I think it might be amaryllis color in cotton. And then the blue, I don't know, but I sure do like the variegation in it. I want to say it's like an Admiral blue. I think that's what it is, Admiral blue. And how about this fantastic fabric? This is Luminous Warmth is what it's called. How about that? A nice sunny pattern. Luminous Warmth, and it's by Fortnite. It's my first Fortnite fabric. I love it. I would get this. I love yellow. I love sun patterns. So this, you know what? I wished I had this when I was stitching my quote from The Hill We Climb, because I was looking for a bright yellow fabric like this to match her coat, to match Amanda Gorman's coat from that day. This is 18 count Aida. It's really nice to work with. They serge the ends, so I love that. So this was a really good pick, and I would order fabric from them again for sure. So this doesn't really have a name because like I'm taking to like, oh, I don't remember where this, oh, I know exactly where this font comes from. Actually, this is a freebie font, and it's one of many, many freebie fonts by Lord, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Is it Lord Libidan or Lord Libidin? But it's like a cross-stitch blog, and there's tons of free fonts on there, along with like skin color conversions, all kinds of like interesting stitchy stuff, recommendations for full coverage, and yeah, there's a lot of stuff on there. So there's a whole set of freebie fonts, and it's super useful because they've got it organized by stitch height. So like if you only want stitches that are letters that are like 4 stitches tall, there's a whole set of alphabets just that are 4 stitches, and then 5, and then 6, and then 7. This is 9, I think. Yeah. So it's cool. It's cool. I'll link it below. You probably, if you've been stitching for a long time, you probably already know about that. But in case you don't, I'll put a link below and you can check it out if you're looking for fonts. Okay, so that was one that I pulled out for the Stitch Retreat. And then another one that I pulled out was my Anne of Green Gables sampler. What was the theme? I don't remember what the keyword, like the theme was for this one. Why I pulled it out. Maybe it'll come to me. I don't remember. But I love this one. This is in volume 32 of Stitch Idées magazine. And I had pulled this out and started it probably a few months ago. And I hadn't gone back. Yeah, earlier this summer. And I hadn't gone back to it. And I'm going to show you a little reveal if I can pull this off. Let me see. Okay. So this is what I had done the last time. So you can see, are you seeing like a person with shoes there in the middle? That's Anne. That's Green Gables. And then there's some like different border motifs. Anne with an E. So there's a little like a blocked E there. This up here, it's like a sign that's going to say Prince Edward Island because that's where the story takes place. But let me show you what I added. This was fun. So I added the Green Gables, and then there's probably Anne again off to the side of the green holding some flowers. Let me see if I can get it where you can see it. And then I think that's oh gosh, Marilla. Let me hold it up again. I think that's Marilla down there, like putting the quilts up. Isn't that so cute? And there's going to be more people off to the side, so let me show you the pattern again. So that was this bottom part. And I think this might be Gilbert over here and maybe Diana over here. I'm not entirely sure. I think that's what it is. But I'm pretty sure that's Marilla in the apron there. So it's so cute. There's such a lot of different Anns in me. Do you see that little quote? I love that. I got to read this book. My friend Angie just loves this book. And she and her partner both love this book. And when they were they have a daughter who's a teenager now, but when they were raising their daughter, they would listen. I guess there's a really good version of Anne of Green Gables that's on like audiobook. It's read by someone who's fantastic, who I don't know who that is. Maybe you'll know. But so their daughter grew up listening to that audiobook and just loved, like, she can quote the whole book basically. And so now it's just super cute. She's a teenager now, their daughter. And so like I'll go over there and hang out for a little bit. And she'll be telling me about school or something, and she'll say, "Oh yeah, I have the best music teacher this year. I think we're kindred spirits." And that's just something. It's a line from Anne. That's something that Anne says about her teacher. It's just so sweet. It's a really touching story. And I haven't read it. My only reference to it is Anne with an E on Netflix, which I'm totally in love with that story. So that's kind of why I'm stitching it. So I can show you my little card with all the info. So I am stitching it. It's from Stitchy Day. That's the katakana up top there. So when I hashtag it, that's what I search for. Let me see if I can type that hashtag, this katakana, down in the description below. That way you can search for it on Instagram and you can see what other people are stitching related to it. They have their own Instagram. Like the publisher is Vogue Japan. So their Instagram username is Nihon Vogue. Nihon is Japan in Japanese. So I'll put all that stuff below in case you want to go search and see what else people are stitching on from that magazine. This is volume 32. It's 113 by 168, the pattern. So it's not super big. I'm using 2 shades of green. One is 501 and one is 732. And it's Stormy Night. Picture this plus it's an 18 count Ada. And I'll show you which color is which. Here, I'll show you with the bottom part. So the text, Green Gables, that's DMC 732. It looks sort of like an olive green. And then the kind of aqua, tealy kind of blue, that's the 501. It's like a blue green. It's basically a dark blue green. And I had thought about using like a bright green, like a more traditional kind of a Kelly green. But I didn't have one, first of all. And second of all, these were the 2, like when I started this project, I pulled out all my greens, all my DMC greens, just to see what spoke to me. And these were the 2 that spoke to me. And I thought, well, there's going to be places in the pattern where I'm going to need to alternate colors. So let me just try to pick these 2 kind of unconventional greens for it. So that's what I went with. I'm enjoying that one a lot. I wish I remember what the keyword was for the Stitch Retreat, why I pulled that one out. I just can't remember. It was something about, stitch something from a book. That's what it was. Stitch something from a movie or a book. So that's why I picked that one. It was nice, even though I stitched only for an hour that morning. That Anne of Green Gables, I kept it out for the next couple of nights afterwards. So I was able to get like a half hour done on it here and there. And I think that was a nice side effect of the retreat. It gets you pulling out projects that you don't get to normally work on or think of working on and chip away at them, Okay, so that might be all my works in progress. So let me show you some new starts because I'm always starting something and I have tons. So this is my other, I'm just going to show you really quick, my other crochet one, just because the yarn is so pretty. So this is another cowl. I'm sorry. So it'll actually go like this. It's lengthwise. And then the 2 edges, will be joined together once I make it long enough. But check those colors. Aren't they pretty? It's like purples, some little bits of yellow, kind of like a mustardy yellow. Hold it up again. There we go. You can see a little better. Grays. It's really pretty for fall, I think. And winter. The color, and it's got like a darker blue in there too. You're seeing that brighter blue? So this is from Fiber Optic yarns, and the color is called Wildflowers. Very, very pretty color. Pretty purples. So I'm using the same. I have this like it's the basic Tunisian knit stitch, but it's crochet. You use a hook to manipulate it. It works up really fast. So I like that one. I've been making, I'm going to be real warm this winter because I've just been making a whole bunch of cowls with this yarn. It's kind of nice because I think all I'll need is 2 balls of that yarn, and that should be enough. So it's nice to not need a whole lot of yarn, Anyway, Okay, this one is exciting. This is the one I've actually been waiting all week to show you. So this one, you might recognize it because there are definitely others doing this one or who have done this one. This is Cirque des Coeurs, Circus of Hearts, Cirque des Coeurs by Ink Circles. It's one of, like, I think there's 3 or 4 circus themed patterns, and it's just going to be filled with heart, all different types of hearts. So if you look closer up, you'll see, like, for example, this is the top of a heart. You got a little one tucked in here. There's a tiny one here. There's going to be one on the side here. The whole thing is just filled up with different hearts and then decorative patterns in between. And this fabric, this dreamy, dreamy, dreamy fabric is, well, I was totally, actually, this whole thing is just all enabling that happened. I've been a victim of enabling, everybody. So the fabric is Hocus Pocus by Hand Dyed by Stephanie. So it's my first fabric by Hand Dyed by Stephanie. And I first saw this on Debbie's Flosstube. She's Mama Bear Stitchery, and she's doing Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow on this, and it is stunning. It is so beautiful because those, like, Hawk Run ones are like huge. So she's just got like enormous, I think she said in her latest video it was like a half yard of fabric, and all the fall colors look beautiful on it, like all the, even like the purples, all the different browns and blacks, and everything looks good on it. So when she held it up, I thought, oh, I gotta have that fabric and I'll do something with it. So I was just kind of laying out different threads on this when I received it, and I had been waiting and waiting and waiting. I have a couple. So my PR075, that Silks for You, that bright blue, that came with about 5 hanks that I ordered over Christmas, last Christmas. I had gotten 5, I had splurged and gotten 5 hanks of silk from Silks for You. And there are 2 that I still haven't used. So I've been waiting and waiting and waiting to try to find something to do with this one. And I think this is perfect, this hearts pattern. And it looks great on this purple. I'm so, so happy with this. This is stitched up super quick. This is only maybe 3 nights of stitching. And I'm talking about like an hour each night, maybe an hour and a half. So I'm loving it. This is going to be the size. So this is end to end. So this is as wide as it gets. And this is going to be very, here. Did I do a card? Yes, I did. Let me show you all the details. It is a little bit bigger than Turkish Delight. Here's all the info. So it's Ink Circles. It's Cirque des Coeurs, 247 by 185. So it's definitely bigger than Turkish Delight. That gorgeous silk. Let me just show you that silk again. It's PR 141. I mean, check that color. It's got a little bit of, it's bright. It's like a raspberry pink, and it's got strawberry pink variegation in there. It's berry. It's like 2 berries. I love it. This is so satisfying to stitch on, and I can't wait. And I think I want to splurge, and I'm already thinking about how to finish it, and I'm not even finished, but I think this would be fun to splurge and get framed somewhere like a Michael's or somewhere, because it's just so pretty. The pattern, I talked about the fabric being enabled to get this fabric. The pattern, Shiloh, Cross Stitch MD, I mean, she's finished her, I'm pretty sure she finished hers and even has it framed. So this has been on my list for some time. And when I got this fabric and saw that the threads kind of go great with this fabric, I said, you know, I'm getting that pattern. Pink hearts, pink, it's going to be perfect. So I'm really enjoying that one. This is the 36 count fabric, hand dyed by Stephanie. It's called Hocus Pocus. It's fantastic for, like, you know what would look good on this, I bet? Halloween Quaker. Leela Studio, you know, a lot of people are stitching on that one. I bet it would look really pretty on this. Because in some lights, it looks kind of grayish. And some lights, when I'm looking at it, it's super bright purple. But when you're looking at it, like in the dark, it does have some kind of gray tones to it. It's so good. I would try some more hand dyed by Stephanie fabrics. It's really pretty. So, ink circles, Cirque de Coeurs, and PR 141 is the thread. Okay, next one. This is a pattern I found on Etsy. And it's not going to look like much right now, but I'll show it to you anyway. I don't know how much you're seeing. So you can see the birds, I'm sure, and you see some plants. I will try. I don't know if I'm going to be able to put the pictures in, and I don't have a picture of this, so I'm just going to describe it, and you can use the link below to get the picture. If I end up not putting the pictures in, you can go look it up. But the pattern is just called Black Tree, and it's by Cross Stitch Row on Etsy. Oh no, it's called Monochrome Botanical Tree. That's what it's called. Let me hold up the card. Monochrome Botanical Tree. Cross Stitch Row on Etsy. And I think I'm not sure that it's actually called this. I think Cross Stitch Row is like one of those designers. 2x2 Stitch does this too, where they don't really have a name for their pattern. Like when you look at the title of the pattern, it's actually got a bunch of search terms in it. So if you go to Cross Stitch Row, and if you type in botanical tree or monochrome botanical tree, or just use the link that I'm going to share with you, you'll find it. Basically, it's a tree. And this is the top of we're at the top of the tree. We're at like one side of the tree. So these leaves are at the top. There's going to be another part that goes around down here. And then it's going to work its way down to the trunk down below. And then there are a few plants down at the bottom, I think. I'm pretty sure. But the tree is full of birds and those kind of branchy sort of motifs. It's really beautiful. I really love it. It's tricky as patterns go. Oh, this fabric is Halloween Pumpkin by XJU Design. And I'm loving that because it basically looks like a sunset. So now the tree is going to look like it's a silhouette in the sunset, which I love that. It's got like oranges and kind of deeper grays. Very pretty fabric. Halloween Pumpkin by XJU. Now, this pattern is satisfying to look at. Like, I'm loving it now when I look at it, but it's a little weird. It's like one of those patterns. I use it on Pattern Keeper because it's just kind of, it's like random spots here and there. Like when you're looking at it from close up, it doesn't look like it doesn't look distinguishable at all. Like I'm looking at Pattern Keeper and I'm thinking, okay, I've got to put 3 stitches here, and then there's one at the diagonal here, and then I got to put a couple here on this side, and then I'm going to count down 3 and do a couple there. It doesn't look like it's going to be anything when you're looking at it while stitching. It's only after you've worked on it for a little bit and then you like put it aside for a day, and then the next day you look at it, you're like, oh yeah, that looks like branches on a tree maybe, or at least botanical. Oh yeah, that looks like a bird, you know? So that does make it, I wouldn't say tricky. It's not tricky. It just, you really have to follow the pattern. Pattern Keeper is the right thing to use to track this pattern because it is just these kind of random spots you're putting stitches into. So it does make it much easier to track where you're at in the pattern and where your next stitch needs to go. So I like that. This is going to be great. I'm going to do some more of this for Halloween stitching, I think. I'm enjoying that. So I guess I'm calling it Monochrome Botanical Tree, but it's from Cross Stitch Row. I wish I had written it down. There's someone who I saw when I was following the Japanese hashtag for cross stitch. There's someone who's doing this one in like a bright, beautiful red, and that looks pretty too. Different fabric, different thread, and it still looks really gorgeous. It looks very kind of elegant. It looks like old, kind of vintage upholstery motifs or something like that. It's really pretty. Okay, so that was a fun one to start. That, again, Cross Stitch Rows on Etsy, you can find the pattern. Okay, the next 2 are super fun, and they were total impromptu starts. So early this month, we finished watching Star Trek Voyager, and it kind of, I had never grown up watching any of the Star Treks. Steve and his mom and brother love all those. And he got me watching earlier in the pandemic. We were watching Next Generation, and I fell in love with that, with all of them, with the cast, like the storylines, like it's such a human show. I love it. It deals with all sorts of different topics. It's a good cast. Like they all work together really well, and you really you miss. It's like one of those shows where you miss them when it's over, you know. And then more recently, we watched Voyager, and it was the same feeling. Like you get really attached to all of them and what they're going through. So we finished that early in July. Or early in August. So I'd had all those characters. Both I've had them all in my mind. And I had in the back of my mind, I had been thinking, oh, I've got to stitch like a tea Earl Grey hot because that's what um, Picard from Next Generation, that's what he orders from the machine. They have these replicator machines where they order their food from, and that's what he drinks. He drinks Earl Grey, but when you order it, you say tea Earl Grey hot. You guys who are Trek fans, you know all that. Well, so I thought, oh, that'd be kind of cute to stitch that, and then nod to Captain Janeway from Voyager. Her order was coffee black. I thought that'd be cute to stitch both of those for my kitchen, and like kind of have a nice connection back to the show, like memories of the show. So I started one, and so here's what I did. This is tea Earl Grey hot. And what I did is I took a pattern from 2x2 Stitch on Etsy. And they've got, if you ever want to do something like this where you just need like beautiful borders, but don't want to, like the patterns, the 2x2 Stitch patterns are enormous. They're like 300 by 300, 200 by 300, 300 by 400. They're really big. But they've got beautiful borders and different kinds of motifs. So I chose an alphabet sampler. And they're another one too, but the 2x2 Stitch I mentioned, like they don't really have names for their patterns. If you find 2x2 Stitch art on Etsy or use the link below, and then if you search their shop, like for this one, it was one of the search terms was alphabet sampler. So that's what I call this. The original pattern is alphabet sampler, but it had these beautiful kind of floral borders around it. And then it had boxes with these kind of motifs in there. So really in the actual pattern, it has more of these squares, but it has letters of an alphabet. It has these very decorative letters. So if you like stitching alphabets, this would be a good pattern. Instead of starting to stitch the alphabet, I just left that square. I expanded that rectangle and I put my message in there. This font is another Lord Lebedan or someone tell me how to pronounce the name. So that's another freebie font. And I like that one a lot. I think it's going great. Now this took a little bit of planning because the thing with 2x2 Stitch art, they've got fantastic borders, and I have a monochromatic piece that I did really early on in my earlier videos that used a DMC 550. It's that purple one. It was an ornament/carpet sampler. You can adapt their patterns really easily to fit the size you want. The only thing is those borders are made to fit like the original pattern. So let's say the original pattern is like 395 by 395. So if you want to cut it shorter, you just have to kind of calculate ahead of time, like where is that border going to end? And do I need to make up a different way to close it out? Or is it going to be okay if I just cut it off where it cuts off where I want it? So I actually sat one evening, I used my ComEd envelope because I had just opened my mail, and I actually started like charting out how many stitches wide the box is, and then how, like, I knew I wanted to put tea Earl Grey hot, so then I knew I needed 3 rows of letters, so then I knew how many spaces I had and how tall the letters could be. So then when I went to Lord Lebedan's website, I would know which size alphabets I could use. And then I had to be really careful. It actually just worked out naturally. I didn't have to like mess around very much. Like when this corner turned, because normally this border would be going down, 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 down. Like it would be ending down here somewhere because the pattern goes down to like however many, like 200, 300 stitches. But I knew I needed to end it here. So I had to do a bit of like figuring out and making sure things would fit. And I'm going to have to do more of that when it comes down to this side. Just make sure things end up flush. But I think it'll be fine. This is a really nice pattern because it's very repetitive. Like, see this flower border coming in the bottom? That's super relaxing and repetitive. And that just kind of matched up. So I think that's going to be fine. It's just this outer border now I have to kind of keep an eye on. So this, let me see if I have a card on it. I do. So 2x2 Stitch art by Etsy. Like I said, it's got a bunch of search terms as the title, but if you search alphabet or use my link below, you'll find it. This blue fabric that I use for Tea Earl Grey Hot is Periwinkle by Color and Cotton. And I'm using DMC 939. I've been dying to find something to do with DMC 939 because I love it. It's like ultra dark blue. So this is perfect. I love the look of like blue fabric and a blue thread. So it's the same color fabric and thread, just different tones. I think it looks fantastic. And this particular color combo too, like this pale blue with dark blue on it. It's so pretty. So I love that. Now I'm doing the same thing with, I haven't done as much on this one, Coffee Black. But it'll basically be the same thing. So I'll be doing the same borders, all the same stuff. It's just that the words are different. And I guess Earl Grey is much longer text. So since this text is shorter, I think I will probably try to make the boxes shorter. And then I will have to do a little bit of figuring out with the border then, how I can fit the border around it. But it's fine. It'll be fine, I think. This fabric is Canyon by Color and Cotton. And this is another, look at that in terms of like neutral colors. This is another really good one. I'll hold it up again. It's Canyon by Color and Cotton. It's a 36 count. I'm using DMC 310, so I'm doing 2/2. But this is another one, like DMC 310 looks great on this, and I bet you anything a white, like here, see how this surged? Like that white stands out really pretty on this too. I feel like there are a lot of patterns. Is it by Kathy Barrick maybe, or maybe the Blue Flower? There are a lot of patterns of theirs that I think would go great on something like this because it uses kind of neutral, there's neutral tones, but also darker tones and a lot of white motifs too. That would be pretty on a color like this, I think. So those are, eventually when I finish those are going to go in the kitchen and be like a nice memory. Do you know Tea Earl Grey Hot? So when we're with Steve's folks, Steve's my partner, when we're with Steve's folks in Oklahoma City, we have kind of a habit of having tea in the evenings. So like we've had dinner, it's been like maybe an hour and a half, and we're watching TV, and then Steve's brother will put the tea on. Well, so like for you, like we've been together like more than 15 years maybe. All this time, all these years in the kitchen, they just have like, his brother would say tea, Earl Grey, hot. And then that would be like his cue to go to the kitchen and make tea. And I never knew what that was until I watched this show. And then the first time Picard orders his tea, I'm like, that's what you guys have been saying all these years? It was just a funny moment. I didn't realize that it was, I thought it was like an inside joke or something of theirs that they just had. I don't know what it was, but now I'm clued into what it's all about. Okay, so 2x2 Stitch art. It was the alphabet sampler. Periwinkle and Canyon are the two colors I used from Color and Cotton. And then I used DMC 310 and DMC 939 for those. All right, now, are you ready for this? I put my first stitches into a full coverage piece. And I've shown you this one before. It's a John Powell painting, and it's called Autumn Pears. It's a Heaven and Earth design. It's a Hade. And I've shown you this picture before. It's a beautiful kind of still life. There are the pears down there. There's some beautiful like china flowers. There's a scene outside a side window. I love it. It is enormous. It's 450 stitches by 684. So it will, like, this is going to take me a lifetime to do. But I felt, again, 100% empowered by Shiloh across Stitch MD, who had that beautiful full coverage like that. It was bonded by the rain, I think. Like the two people walking in the rain, all those beautiful bright colors. She had that full coverage piece. And I remember her starting that one. It's only been, I think, within like the past year, let's say, definitely within the last 12 months that she started that. I just felt so happy for her finishing it, and I felt inspired. I thought, you know what? I'm going to stop being afraid. I have been afraid of trying to start this. I have the fabric. I have like pretty much all the DMCs. I haven't ordered all of them, but I have enough to like at least get some going. So I said, you know what? I'm doing this. So I started. And I'm not scared. It's not scary. I thought it would be awful. I mean, to be honest, though, I haven't done any like much confetti stitching yet, so that I probably will be scared once that starts. Like, see all those white gaps? I'm gonna have to put like in that red section. Look at all those white gaps. I'm gonna have to put stitches in there. I'm using a tent stitch, so I don't know if that's cheating. It works up super fast. It's basically you're using 2 strands. This is 25 count easy grid. So normally you would use 1 strand on this and do an X. So I'm using 2 strands, but I'm only doing 1 leg of the X. So you're only doing 1 of the angles. But because you're using 2 strands, it covers the entire stitch. And it works up unbelievably fast. It is so, so fast. Like I can't imagine doing a full coverage doing the X's. I don't think I would I don't think I would have the patience to do it. This like was just a couple of nights of stitching earlier in August before school ended. So they were good sized evenings that I put in. Oh, let me show you where it is. It worked up so fast because you're only doing the halves. You're just zipping through. I'm using Pattern Keeper. So that's helping a lot. So I'm right here. I'm at the red bowl. Are you seeing it here? Red bowl, and then like the top of this blue vase. So I'll show you again where that is. So like this is going to be the red bowl, and then it's going to run behind this blue vase. So this is like the top of that skinny part of the blue vase. So it's really pretty. And that blue wasn't like too tricky to stitch, even though there are several shades of blue going up and down that, because it's like very light at the top and then it gets darker as it goes down. But also it's to show the curvature of it, there are different shades of blue kind of going down the side. So yeah, not scary, everyone. Start a Hade. I would recommend it. I need to get a few more colors to do this part too, but I'm pretty happy with it, and I would pick this up again now. And I think it was like a taking off the Band-Aid kind of situation too. You know, you just have to get started, and then it kind of gives you a little bit of momentum. So that's going to be fun. This is again Autumn Pears. It's a John Powell painting. It's a Heaven and Earth design. I have a couple more new starts to show you, and then we can talk plans, and then that's what I've got for you today. So this is a fun one. Okay, so this is by X Stitch Ann on Etsy, and it's a Korea sampler. And I thought I honestly don't know how I found this, because I search Etsy, like I look at Etsy all the time. I look at their page every day, and I search for, like, I just put in cross stitch pattern, and then, you know, you can sort it by like most recent. So I'm always looking for what's out there that's new. And this one just came up. And so it's X Stitch Ann on Etsy. I will see if I can put a picture of the whole sampler up. As usual, I'm not sure. I'll put the link below if you want to go check it out. But it's got 2 like border motifs that are going to run down here. And then it's got center, like motifs all over the center. It's really, really pretty. And I like it because Steve taught English in Korea for a couple years, and then in Japan for a couple years. So I think it's going to be kind of a nice, you know, reference to, like, you know, that his travel there. And the motifs are just so pretty. So I am using, let me think for a minute. No, do I have a card? I do. Let me show you. Catherine and Victoria, thank you for this idea, because it is totally saving me today. So it's X Stitch Ann on Etsy, who is a designer from Korea, by the way. So hashtag Stitch Asia. This would be a good designer to support. And it's just called Korea. And the title has this code in it as well, but I'll put a link to it below. So the fabric is Chickpea by Color and Cotton. Very nice, pale neutral. It's an 18 count. I pretty much love it, just like all the other Color and Cottons that I love. And the threads are an adventure for me because, okay, so I'm using two. So these motifs up here, those are with my very first Victorian motto, which I don't know why I wasn't able to catch on to this. You're all probably like, we already knew this. Did you know that you could get Victorian motto threads on Etsy? I went to the blog and then I couldn't figure out, like, I tried to email them and I never got responses back. And I was just like, how do you get Victorian? Like, everybody uses Victorian motto threads. How do you get them? And then you can also get them on eBay. Somehow it took me this long to figure that out. So I was able to get this pretty, pretty bright red, which actually the color is called charred orange, but when it arrived, it was red. So I'm using it for this. I asked Steve what color to make it. The pattern comes on a brown, suggested color is a brown, kind of like a grayish brown color fabric with white stitching on it. It is very pretty. But I wanted to use this chickpea because I had just gotten it and I wanted to start using it right away. So Steve suggested red because the Korean soccer team is red. And like the flag has red, black, and blue. So then I thought, should I be using blue? And he thought, no, I kind of connected it more with red. So that's why I thought, oh, everybody likes stitching on red pieces, right? Red samplers. So this is kind of my way of doing that. So that all these kind of brighter toned reds or that charred orange by Victorian motto, which to me looks red. This symbol is on the Korean flag. And I'm using, so for my Tokapu Sal by Peruvian Flare, it calls for a color by Gentle Art called Ruby Slipper. Well, so I needed another skein of it because I'd used half of it on another project, and so I only had half left for this Tokapu. So I ordered it, and then when it came, I realized I had not ordered the cotton, I had ordered the wool. So I had received wool Gentle Art Ruby Slipper. And then I thought, well, should I return it? And I said, no, let me just try this because Michelle G, Bendy Stitchy, she stitches with wool sometimes, and Jacob, Modern Folk Embroidery, stitches with wool. So I knew I had wanted to try it. It's really fun. It feels really fun to stitch in wool. There is something satisfying about it. It's got a definite kind of tapestry feel to it. This color, Ruby Slipper, the wool is also variegated. It has a couple of different reds, although I don't know if you will catch it. There's like a little bit brighter red and then a deeper red. The wool is kind of funny though, because so it comes in what looks to me like one strand made up of 2 or 3 very fine strands twisted together. I'm not sure if those are meant to be taken apart. Those looked like they would just tear apart if I tried to pull them. So I didn't pull those apart. I kept them the way they were, and I stitched with just the one thick strand. So there's a little bit of gap. The fabric's coming through in some parts, but I'm honestly okay with it just because it was so fun to stitch with it. I love it. It feels very carpety. It feels nice. And so my plan is to stitch most of this in this charred orange, but then to just do a couple of like highlighted motifs, maybe one here and one below, in the wool. So that's fun. I would stitch in wool again. I would try it. It feels really nice. And the coverage is decent. So yeah, I would try that again. So it's the colors again for the threads. It's Ruby Slipper Wool by Gentle Art. And then charred orange, that was the Victorian motto. It's not a terribly large pattern, 150 by 220. It's long, but it's not super wide. So that's going to be fun. I'm going to like stitching on that one. There are a lot of it's nice to have patterns where you have some separate small motifs like that. We're not I love ink circles, but their patterns are hard to put down and pick back up again because there's a lot of intertwined kind of lacy stuff. So you have to reorient yourself with where you were. Whereas on something like this, Like if I'm having a super tired night, I could just stitch like one of these small motifs, for example, and put it down and know exactly, you know, I don't have to join anything to it the next time. So that makes it a little bit easier. Okay, again, that was X stitch and oh my gosh, I'm missing like one of the other cool parts about this. So X stitch and two, I'm missing two cool things. I haven't been looking at my notes. Okay, so I got another hashtag for you. This is shipjasu, I think is how you pronounce it. Shipjasu, which is the word for cross stitch in Korean. So now we can search for Korean stitchers too. So I'll put this down below in case you want to search this hashtag. It's fun. I like it. It's fun. And I have this thanks to Gwen, who is She Stitches and Reads, both on Instagram and Flosstube. And Gwen hasn't recorded a Flosstube in a long time, but she's got like 3 or 4 videos out there. They are so good. And follow her Instagram page too, because she's always doing something amazing. Like today I was watching one of her older videos and she has this super cute like needle book that she made with the front of it has a prairie schooler, like a little square with a bee in it. It is so cute. And Gwen does a lot of sewing. She has really cool, like just different kinds of finishes. Like she made a cell phone case with stitching on with cross stitch on it. She does amazing stuff. Her Instagram lately, she's been doing like embroidery and sewing, just all kinds of stuff and cross stitch. But it's Gwen, and she's She Stitches and Reads, and she's an under 100. So like, why isn't everyone watching Gwen? I mean, I too, I'm to blame for a little bit of that too, because I knew about Gwen for a long time and I haven't gone back to watch her videos, and then I was watching them today to make sure I could recommend them to you, and she's amazing. So Gwen is originally from South Africa, but lives in Korea. So when I had posted this Korea piece, I said I just need to learn how to say cross stitch in Korean. So she responded and she let me know how to say it. And she put the characters in for me. So that was very helpful. So thank you, Gwen. And your channel is amazing, and everybody just go watch. So that was really, really fun to see her. And then the other cool thing with kind of career connection. Oh no, it was with X Stitch Ann, this designer. So they will make custom patterns for you with Korean letters and then kind of floral motifs interwoven in there. So I thought it would be cute to see. I don't listen, I've never tried learning Korean. My only like barely few references I have are like a couple of words that Steve has mentioned when he talks about his travels there and his time there, or from watching Kim's Convenience on Netflix, which is another show that I just love. And there on that show, when the parents on that show talk to each other, they refer to each other as yobo. Yobo, I think is how they pronounce it. Yobo. And it's the word for like honey or sweetheart. So I emailed X Stitch Ann and I just said, oh, can you, like, this is a word that they're saying. I think it means honey or sweetheart. Do you think you can make a pattern with that word on it? Because that would be cute for Steve, you know, because he's my sweetheart. And she said, oh, yeah, this is what, like, here's the word. Here's what it looks like in Korean. Yes, you can. It's like $10 to have a custom pattern made. So they made one for me. So that's going to be fun to stitch. So it says yobo. It took maybe like 3 days, 2 or 3 days. And I love it. And Steve can read Korean. Like I had this, he still remembers his Korean lessons, and like I don't know if he can say many sentences, but he reads it and understands it. Because I had this on the couch when I was putting all my notes and like piling up all my projects and stuff. I had this upstairs and he read it. He's like, oh, why do you have Shipjasu on a card? And I was like, what? Why do you still know how to read that? He just remembers. So I think he's going to like when I eventually stitch yobo. That's going to be cute. So anyway, X Stitch Ann. Oh, there's other, like, not all the patterns are Korean too. There's really pretty, like, there are a few patterns that have kind of like 9 squares with each one with a different motif in there. Lots of botanical stuff. There's all kinds of stuff. So maybe some Quakers too. I don't remember. So it's just going to be a cool designer to check out, I think. Okay. I have I have one more new start to show you, and then I will tell you a little bit about plants, and then we're going to wrap it up. And I can't believe I haven't even had to have my tea. I'm going to have a little now, though, because editing this video is going to take me forever tonight. I'm having some Earl Grey. Some tea Earl Grey hot. I don't know what my replicator order would be. What do I drink chai. So mine would be chai hot. Chai hot with milk or something like that. Chai has milk in it, but whatever. Okay, so last one. Okay, I've kind of been excited to show you this one too. So on Instagram one day, I saw a post with a fabric, not a dyer, but like someone who prints onto Aida fabric. And they are called Claire Brown X Stitch. And they're on Etsy, Claire Brown X Stitch. I don't have a card for this one, so I'm just going to tell you and put it in the links below. So the post that I had seen on Instagram was a really cute fabric. It was like a Halloween-y fabric. So the print on it, it had a design printed on it with like pumpkins and cobwebs, and it was cute. It would be cute for like a monochromatic, I don't know, like a small pumpkin Quaker or something. So I was on Etsy and poking around looking at some of those fabrics, and I saw this really beautiful one that looks like wood. It's called barnwood. So like if I flip to the back, I don't know if you're seeing that. Like the back is not printed. My light is overexposing it, I think, but it's plain white on the back. Oh, see, you can see it under there. The back is plain white. So the image is printed only on one side. So I had ordered, this was only like $8 or $9, by the way, for like this is a 14 by 14 piece. So it's pretty decent. The only thing is it ships from England. So I think I got free shipping. I ordered a couple different ones. So I think I got free shipping. So I was thinking, oh, that barn print, I think that'd be really cute for like a cross stitch quilt pattern, because thinking of like quilt patterns on barns, you know? And I have been dying to stitch a Carolyn Manning pattern. A lot of Carolyn Manning patterns look like quilts. So that's what I'm doing. So let me show you this one. So here's what I have so far. And this one is called Pegasus. And it's, I don't have a picture. I will link it below so you can go see the pattern. I picked it up as a PDF on Carolyn Manning's website. You can get print copies on 123 Stitch and places like that, you know, stitch shops. This is called Pegasus, and I love it. First of all, because the colors were really calming. And before the fabric had arrived, I knew that it was kind of very pale colored. I thought it had lots of grays in it, which it does, but it also has like little patches of kind of a blue, a pale, pale blue. So it ends up being perfect for this pattern. I had picked out this pattern thinking, oh, it would be nice on the wood is kind of calming. So I think I'll choose a Carolyn Manning pattern with some calm colors on it. So they're all kind of like these calm sort of pale teals, some blues, some like kind of pale purples and grays. So to get an idea of what it looks like, so let me figure this out. This motif here is the center. And this is the far side. So this is as far as they'll go on that side. So it's going to go the same distance on the opposite side. And then it's a square, so it'll go up to the top and bottom, same amount of stitches. I just wanted to make, I don't always start in the center, but for this one I started in the center and I wanted to make sure I didn't run out of space. So I stitched as far as I could go, and it's going to be fine. I love this. There's another one. Is it called Sunrise? There's another, all the Carolyn Manning ones are so beautiful. The first time I saw one was on Jan Hicks's website, and I don't remember which one she had been doing, but that's where I first saw it. So I kind of, it might have been that Beachcomber. I think that's one that a lot of people were doing. That one has like pale blues and kind of tans in it. It's pretty too. And I think maybe there was a sale going on with that one or something. I remember lots of people doing that one. But they're like, I challenge you to go to Carolyn Manning's website and try to pick just one. It's really hard. I did pick just one, but I have like a whole bunch in the wings. That would be really fun to do. So I have the PDF of it from Carolyn Manning's website. So I have it on Pattern Keeper. Pattern Keeper's just amazing. I mean, this is one of the rare multicolor pieces I'm doing. Usually I just stitch monochromatic. And there's on the, like when you have the pattern up on Pattern Keeper, there's a little link at the bottom, like a place at the bottom of the pattern where you click, and it pulls up the entire menu of all the colors and symbols. So like if I'm zoomed into a part and I'm seeing like a triangle and I'm like, wait, what was that color again? I can just tap the bottom and the whole list comes up. It's really nice. It's really handy, Pattern Keeper. It's really made stitching some patterns easier than it would have been. So there that is. So this has been a really fun one to work on. This is a 14 count Ada. The pattern again is called Barnwood, and it's by Claire Brown Cross Stitch on Etsy. She goes by Claire Brown X Stitch on Etsy. And I'm using, because it's 14 count, I'm using 3 strands over 1. So that's going to be a fun one to chip away at it. I thought it'd be real good. This is another one where I thought, oh, right away, like I kind of know how I want to frame it. Like I want to use one of kind of like those old barnwood, like the reclaimed barnwood frames to go around it with a grayish wood. That would be pretty, I bet. Got to finish it first though. Oh, something cool. The that fabric from Claire Brown Cross Stitch, it came in a mailer that's 100% compostable. Isn't that cool? So I saved it. Unfortunately, it has like the huge international tracking like sticker on the front, so I have to cut that part out. But then I'm going to save it for whenever we eventually start composting, and I'll put it in there. That's pretty cool. It had come wrapped, the fabric had been wrapped in a paper sack, like a flat paper sack, and then it had been put in this. And it did just fine. It survived it just fine. So that's pretty cool. It'd be fun to see more vendors carrying this kind of packaging, you know. Yeah. Anyway, well, I'm starting to fade a little bit, so I gotta get to plans. Wait, I want to check real quick and make sure I didn't forget something I wanted to tell you about anything else. I don't think so. Yeah. Plans. So I have signed up as a participant for the marathon, #marathon for MMIW. And I know Michelle G had been talking about it, had started talking about it. And I got a lot of the info from Jessie at Mislaid Pages, because they had given quite a bit of detail about how to join, how to get involved, how to donate, what the cause was about. And it's for the fundraisers for the Coalition Against the Coalition to Stop Violence Against Native Women. So it's that's why the hashtag is marathon for MMIW, because it's supporting empowering women in Indigenous communities. And Jessie was awesome. Thank you so much. I know Jessie probably doesn't watch this channel, but thank you just for like being so encouraging and supporting, because I have been so I'm coming up October of last year is when I started my Flosstube videos. And so I'm coming up on my first anniversary, and I had the only reason why I was able to start, no, that's not true. One of the big reasons why I was able to start my Flosstubes that weekend was because it was the long weekend in October for Indigenous Peoples Day here in Chicago, and in Illinois, we had the day off on Monday. So I had that extra day where I wasn't doing schoolwork, where I could dedicate it to making that first video and kicking off this whole thing. So this whole year I've been thinking, for my first, if I make it to my first year, I want to do something to give back to that community, to recognize Indigenous Peoples Day and to do something for Indigenous people. So this just came at the right time because so the chat, if I think you know about it probably already because you watch everyone who's been talking about it, but it's a marathon stitching fundraiser where stitchers are either themselves pledging to stitch 100 hours between September 1st and October 31st, or stitchers are contributing to the marathoning stitchers, so that the Coalition to Stop Violence Against Native Women earns these donations and is able to continue their programming to support women in Indigenous communities. So Jessie was really great about like I had asked, because I didn't want to step on any toes, because like big name people like Michelle and Jessie are doing this. And I thought, well, does it make any sense for me, like a small, I'm small potatoes, does it make sense for me to get involved as a fundraiser? I'd like to, because I'd like to be able to collect and donate to something Indigenous related leading up to my anniversary, but I didn't want to step on any toes. So Jessie was really great about it and said, yeah, just sign up. It's easy to sign up as a participant. Lots of other people are signing up as participants. So the cool thing about it is they're using an app called, it's like 99 Pledges or something like that is the tool, the web tool that they're using to run the fundraiser. When you click on add participant and add yourself as a participant in the marathon, it creates your own fundraiser page. So I have my own page, which I will link below if you want to check out what it looks like, or if you want to donate. So like, for example, what I'm trying to do now is I'm posting, I had a very successful fundraiser for Pride Month in June by running it through Flosstube, through Facebook. So I want to also post this Craftivism project on Facebook. So instead of doing a Facebook fundraiser, I'm sharing the link that was generated for me, like my own personal fundraiser link, so that my people on Facebook, if they want to donate, they can donate to that. I don't know how effective it's going to be. I think one of the advantages to running a Facebook fundraiser is that people mindlessly click on it. They're like, oh, Nitya's doing a fundraiser. They don't even necessarily read my post, but they will click to like support and donate something, $5 or something. Now it's shared as a link within my post. So if people don't take the time to read below to see that that's a fundraiser link, they might not give as much. So I don't know. I do have one donation. My Stitchy friend, Erica, she's not a cross stitcher. She's a knitter. She always, like, she was the first person to donate in June, and now she was the first person to donate here. So I have one donor at least. But anyway, it doesn't really kick off till September 1st, which is right around the corner. And then it goes through October 31st. So I don't know. I don't know if I can make it 100 hours. I'm going to try. I think if I can stitch almost every night and then some weekends, I should be able to do it. I think it's going to be great for me for so many things because one, it's already pushing me to just read more about Indigenous communities. Like I spent a lot of time on the website for the Coalition to Stop Violence Against Native Women. And it's really interesting. Just all kinds of, like, I had shared this statistic on Facebook when I posted my personal link. It's the Bureau of Indian, like, what is it? The Bureau of Indian Affairs. I think that's the office. They have a statistic. It's like something like 85% of Indigenous women report having experienced some kind of abuse or violence. 85%. I mean, that's incredible. And that's like, there are so many root causes of that, right? Like issues happening on within Native families and on Native land and related to being a Native person in this country that has not been nice to Native people. So I think it's great that there are organizations coming together for this coalition to try to do something about it. So it's been interesting reading about it. I have a fantastic short film. Oh, I'm going to link it below. And just like take the 30 minutes. This film is only actually to like 26 minutes. Just go watch it. There's a fantastic film that came out on public television here. And it was called Without a Whisper. And it was part of, over the summer, our public television station had a free documentary film festival. So they put out all kinds of cool films. And I was watching some of them, and this one came up. Without a Whisper tells about well, two things. It's an interview with a woman who's writing a book, and her interview with a Mohawk indigenous woman who's like a leader, a tribal leader on Mohawk land today, contemporary. And the woman who's writing a book is writing about the women's suffragette movement here in the US. And like there are a couple of names that are really well known related to that. So like everybody here, like in school, we all learned about Elizabeth Cady Stanton. She was one of the suffragettes leading kind of the push for women's equality and the right to vote here in the US. And then there was a big convention in Seneca Falls, New York. Well, Seneca Falls, New York is on Mohawk land. And so Elizabeth Cady Stanton and all these women who were involved in this movement, they actually went to Mohawk communities and talked to women and kind of learned about what life was like there. And they were amazed because on Mohawk land, in Mohawk communities, women have a lot of power. So like leaders are elected by women in those communities. The economy, like all the money is controlled by the women. Even if men are making a decision, like they consult with the women, like the decision has to be a true democratic decision. Like men and women both make the decision. So these suffragettes were looking at this and they're like, can you believe how many rights women have in like in these communities? This is what we have to push for. Like we need this too. So the woman who's writing the new book about the suffragette movement here is now incorporating some of these like the research, the writing that these women did about their visits to this land. It is super, super fascinating, and it's only 26 minutes. Just go watch it. It's like, I think it's like the perfect example of how like the lessons from indigenous communities have been ignored for a long time, and how there's lots more we can learn about living from people who lived here before us. Super fascinating. That documentary, they also talk about George Washington, I think it was George Washington, and how the first time that he met Mohawk men and they were talking, he referred to them as petticoat men because they were calling upon these Mohawk men to make some kind of decision. And they said, we don't make decisions, just us. We're going to take this back. We got to consult with our women. You know, the women, everyone plays a role in making this decision. And Washington took that as a sign of weakness. Oh, these are petticoat men. They can't make any decisions without their women. It's just a total, like, people, that's the mindset that formed our country. A mindset that basically looked down on women as like not even being remotely possible of having a voice. So we got a lot of learning to do, I think, and we can learn from people who are different than us. So I think this marathon for MMIW is going to be great because I feel like I'm going to learn a lot, and we're also going to give back. We're going to stitch. I'm going to try to finish, because I'm posting on Facebook. I kind of feel compelled to finish some things so that I can like post projects to be telling people like, hey, this is actually, I am really stitching for this marathon. Like, this is why you should support me, please. I'm also going to do Jessie Mislaid Pages. The same Jessie is leading Season of Smalls, # Season of Smalls. And I think I want to try to do, I had ordered some, I'll try to put a picture in if I get to edit those pictures in. Summer House Stitchworks has a really cute set of small barn star ornament patterns. It's like a book of different ones, a booklet, like a leaflet. So I'm thinking I want to try to stitch a few of those for Season of Smalls and enter. I think Jessie's leading like a competition that goes with that. I need to rewatch their video about it. I'd like to stitch one of those small ornaments, one for my friend Melanie, who loves barns. Like when we go on like road trips together, we have to pull over and see like every barn and take pictures of every barn. But also I thought it would be cute to stitch some of those smalls as thank yous for people who donate during Marathon for MMIW, like people who donate to my page maybe. So I don't know if I can stitch that many, but like my friend Erica, who donated, my first donor, I want to stitch one for her because she's like, this is now the second fundraiser she's been donating. So that I think that'd be kind of cute. What else with plans? Oh, something very exciting. A big thank you to Sarah, who is Modcross, fantastic designer on Etsy, by the way. You're going to know Sarah because recently, like this summer, I'm losing my mind, everybody, while I'm fading here. Kansas City girl, Julie, Kansas City girl in a Colorado world, is stitching one of Sarah's patterns. It's a really cute one about the magic of books. And Sarah contacted me this summer to add, Sarah's in Iowa, and Sarah like very sweetly watches all my videos and has like all wonderful things to say all the time. Well, Sarah contacted me to see if I'd want to do like join her in a little road trip to StitchCon next year. And I said, yes, I want to do that. So we're going to try to get on the mailing, or not the mailing, the wait list for the first weekend for StitchCon. So that the signups are opening up this week. And Sarah, thank you for offering to get us on the list, because I'm going to be at school, crazy busy. So thank you for offering to, thank you for thinking of me. Thank you for offering to like do this as a combined road trip. She's gonna like swing through, coming from Iowa, swing through Chicago, and then we're gonna go to Ohio. So that's gonna be fun. So I want to know if any of you are thinking of going, and it would be fun to see people. I know like names, and I know your faces from Instagram sometimes, but it would just be fun to like run into some of you there, or plan on seeing some of you there. Sarah and I are talking about putting our names down for the first weekend. Both weekends actually work, but I think that one, we're going with that one. So I hope we get to go. I think it's going to be fun. I hope things are better by then. It's just so far ahead. I feel like I can be hopeful about it, but I think we'll have to see how this winter goes and everything. It's so far away, but I'm excited. It gets me excited. I'm excited to do that. I've been watching I had been watching earlier this summer everybody's videos from this year's StitchCon and like past StitchCon. So I think it's just I'm very introverted. Like I'm actually kind of surprised that I do these floss tubes. I think it's because I don't have people like sitting right in front of me maybe, but or no, it's if I feel confident and excited about the topic, I'm okay. But usually like large group gatherings are pretty terrifying to me. I feel I'm very wallflower, I get lost in the crowd, but I think a Stitchy event is probably a great event for introverts because we can stitch and we can like find clumps of people now and then to talk to. I work better like in smaller groups when it's just 2 or 3 people. So I think it's going to be a good, like things like that are kind of good social challenges for me, but also this one is genuinely just going to be fun. I think like it's going to be fun to see everybody stitching and like work on stitching and meet stitchers and chat with Sarah. And that's going to be something to look forward, a nice reward for the end of the school year too. Okay. Last 2 plans. I am going to start a pattern, and I can only describe it for you because I don't have a picture printed out. Part of my issue with not having pictures ready for you all is that I can't get none of my devices are compatible with my wireless printer anymore after moving and setting it up. So I can't print anything anymore. So I'm going to try to put a picture here or link below. There is a very cool stitcher on Instagram named Kaede. Let me think. Kaede, a Japanese stitcher who has a blog called Hari and Ito. And they put tons of free patterns out, really pretty, free, it's like small free patterns. And I wanted to mention them because I had found, as usual, following cross stitch Japanese hashtag, I'd found them and they had done a really cute, it has like 2 squirrels and some flowers on it. And I thought, oh, this is so nice. Like, where did you find, I had messaged them, like, where did you find this? This is so pretty. And they said, oh, I designed this and it's going to be like, I'll let you know when it's ready. Well, they messaged me a couple days ago, or maybe a few days ago, and said, oh yeah, I just wanted to let you know, I put this back, it's a free pattern. I put it out on my blog, and they sent a link. And I thought that was so sweet because it's actually been some time since I messaged about it, and they didn't have to. So I will link to their blog below so that you can see that pattern. I think it's called Squirrel. I don't know if it had a name, but you will notice it because it has 2 squirrels facing each other and then like 2 kind of plants up at the top. I think that's what it was. Or maybe the squirrels are on top and the plants are on the bottom. I don't remember, but it looks really cute. I'm going to do that one. And then my last thing with plans, picked up a couple project bags. They're technically not my first project bags because technically I do have a project bag. I had picked up an Illinois one from Garon last spring. So I technically do have one. I I don't know where it is after the move. It's not with all my Stitchy stuff, so I don't know. But I was enabled once again by Debbie at Mama Bear Stitchery, who uses these Whip It Up project bags. They look really cute. They're square. They look. They say that you can fit like between an 8-inch and 11-inch Q snap. I don't use Q snaps, but it kind of gives me an idea of the size. And there was just a really cute Halloween one and kind of a cute berry one. So I guess I'm getting project bags now, people. So I'm gonna try them out, see how they like them. I love, like, Debbie talks about them all the time on her channel, and they look really cute. The fabrics are really pretty. So, and they were having a sale. They're on Etsy, and they're having a sale right now. So, well, there we are. I got a couple. So at least the Halloween one I think is going to be cute because I could put all my Halloweeny projects in there. It'd be nice, and it has like a handle, so that will be really easy to find and carry around like to my parents' house and stuff. So I'm hoping I don't regret it because they're kind of project bags are a little out of my, comfort zone in terms of spending. But we'll see. I'm excited for it to arrive, and we'll see how it goes. So I've said it. I've said everything I meant to say to you. I don't know if you're still here. We're almost at 2 hours, so you're probably not still here anymore. But I hope you found something you liked, and if not, thanks for sticking around anyway. And I hope to hear from you all. Thank you so much for your comments you leave. I love connecting with you. I'm super behind in the Flosstube world. Like I'm behind on commenting back. I love to comment back to you, and I'm behind on that. Please keep leaving me comments because I like connecting with you anyway. I like seeing you on Instagram. I'm way behind on watching Flosstube. So some of you have done like multiple videos and I haven't seen them yet. So I apologize for that. It's school mode now. I gotta, like, Labor Day weekend, I'll get to catch up a little bit. So that'll be nice. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. And I will get back in touch with you, end of September. I think that's what it is. So in the meantime, happy stitching. Have a good evening. And I hope I'll chat with you all soon. Bye.